Project PLACE, People Lacking Ample Shelter and Employment, is a organization, charitable organization that really tries to make Baltimore and the community a little bit more just. We do it on a one-to-one basis, and we also look at advocacy. We have temporary housing, where we've housed about 200 people every year, and we have 5 permanent housing programs. Last year, we housed and helped 1,500 individuals. And of those who move into permanent housing, I'd say every year we average between 90 and 95% of them maintain that housing. So I know there is a bias, and I know where it comes from about homelessness. But the reality is, for those of us who are lucky enough to do this work, the story's not over until it's over. So even people that maybe are on the street corner or have mental health issues or have depression or substance use, life can change. People can move into housing. They can address those issues, and they can become a member of the community. Homelessness first is poverty. Homelessness is needing to rejoin the community that you fell out of. Homelessness is really needing help, and needing housing, and needing opportunity and access to services and resources. Homelessness could be any of us in the right or the wrong situation. So Project PLACE, over these 40 plus years, has been addressing it by providing housing, by providing services, providing case management, providing nursing services, but providing mental health. We say we're housing and hope for people, and maybe it shouldn't be in that order, because if you don't have hope, you're not going to believe in yourself or believe in those who are giving the hand up to support people. I always say that homelessness is the intersection first of anything that's happening system-wide, and it intersects with individual people. And what I mean by that is, anytime we have a war, immediately I have homeless veterans coming to my door. Anytime there's a change in what the policy is on who can get SSI or SSDI, we make a new set of people that are homeless. If we change whether or not substance abuse is considered a disability or not, those big, broad. If we change, the economic market where we used to have manufacturing and industrial things, and it becomes more hospitality and service-based, all those things affect people's lives, but they affect it on a much kind of broader basis. So having said that, those are the causes of the changes that we've seen almost every decade. When we started, like in the 70s, it was mostly older white men without market skills, and some certain percent might have substance abuse, or particularly more alcohol, not substance abuse. You kind of go into the 80s, and they start to enforce the Mental Health Community Act, which passed in 1955, but they didn't enforce it. So we have people who have been in mental health hospitals coming out on the streets, basically. And in the 80s, we started seeing the HIV epidemic, basically, which in your worst dreams back then, it was a death sentence. And we started taking people in 1984. Thank God it's not a death sentence anymore with the growth of understanding the virus and medication, but we, among the homeless population, still have a very high percent. I'd say in our emergency temporary housing, we might have 65% of people with HIV. And that's partly because people don't have easy access to testing and then counseling and early treatment or consistent treatment. And there's work to change that. Starting in the 80s and 90s, we started to see more females on the street. It used to be people would take people in, females easier, that maybe there was less of a bias, I don't know. But and we're seeing more families, and I think that's directly related to the economy, and it's directly related to the cost of housing. When I was an undergraduate student at UMBC, and I had several internships, I found it very valuable. And part of that was I found there were a lot of helping agencies that did great help. But we saw that it was a very fragmented system, and we thought, oh my God, we need to have an agency that tries to do it in a comprehensive way. and a particularly a comprehensive way for those individuals who have the most need. So that's where kind of the idea happened that we need to have a program for homeless individuals. And there really wasn't anybody talking about that back then, pretty much, you know. So what you do when you're poor and you're students is you study the problem. We didn't have any money. So we developed a little questionnaire. We went around and we went to the emergency rooms and DSSs and Family Children's Society and found out that people were very hungry for such a service. They were only doing Band-Aids, like I could give them a meal or give them tokens or sit in a ER. So we started that and then started it really all volunteer, basically. And I always thought back then that I was going to do everything I could to get it started and get it going, and then I was going to go do what the universe wanted me to do. But I'm here a few years later, a long time later, and I always say life is what happens when you're making other plans. And I'm very pleased that's the case, because I've been more than blessed to be able to let people to walk in their lives a little bit. And be there and support them. We all win or we all lose together. And those of us who maybe aren't homeless do need to be concerned with that, because we're all affected one way or the other. And how we vote, where we decide to sort of spend our energy, our supportive policies, how we take on our brother-in-law at Thanksgiving to say this is important. All those are things that have an effect. If you walk past someone, you may or may not give them $1, but you can give them a smile and kindness, or you can give them a street card, or you can let them know, because I truly believe that we're meant to be here as community and family, and that maybe one of the things that has been consistent for me from my student days and became woven into our Project PLASE value and philosophy is that those in the greatest need should get the greatest service, and that we do that on an individual basis, but it also should be kind of the thrust of all our lives. You know, do we make our political policies, our economic policies, those that if we serve people who are the most vulnerable, the rest of us by ripple effect will be okay. In fact, we'll be better because maybe we have more meaningful lives.